drinking every night and doing all this and beat you.
Yeah, it was bad.
If you look at the fight, he was much slower. He only threw a hook.
Interview 1. Gervonta Davis has finally broken his silence with the most savage reaction to Jake Paul's devastating knockout loss to Anthony Joshua. What Tank is saying about Jake's broken jaw and missing teeth has left the entire boxing world in shock. The WBA lightweight champion didn't hold back when he saw the hospital photos of Jake's completely shattered face, and sources from Davis's camp confirm that he has been laughing nonstop since watching Joshua dismantle the YouTuber on Friday night in Miami.
He was going to tie him down and catch him with a good shot and shit like that.
So wait, do you think, curious, because it's a business aspect, but again, I'm still a nigga and I'm still a fan.
Jake Paul suffered one of the most brutal beatings in recent boxing history, getting dropped 4 times before being knocked out cold in the 6th round. The aftermath has been even more shocking than the fight itself. On Saturday morning, Paul posted graphic X-ray images from the hospital showing his jaw broken in 2 separate places, confirming what everyone watching had suspected. Anthony Joshua's power is on a completely different level than anything Jake has ever faced before.
Will you take care of me forever and ever?
3 in the morning, I can't sleep, my jaw's busted. They wired it up a couple hours ago and it hurts every time I move my mouth. I lost tonight, I gave everything and I still lost. Feels like I let everyone down.
Paul wrote on Instagram, "Double broken jaw. Give me Canelo in 10 days. This delusional call-out immediately went viral, with millions of boxing fans flooding the comments to mock Jake for getting completely destroyed and then instantly asking for an even more dangerous fight. However, what Gervonta Davis said after seeing these injuries has sparked the biggest controversy of the weekend, dividing the entire combat sports community. Before diving into Tank's savage reaction, it's important to note that the actual damage Jake Paul suffered is far worse than most realize, and the medical details are truly horrifying. According to multiple reports from Miami University Hospital, Jake required immediate emergency surgery, with doctors working through the night to repair the extensive damage Anthony Joshua inflicted. Sources close to Paul's medical team confirmed that the surgery lasted over 4 hours, with surgeons inserting 2 titanium plates on each side of his jaw to stabilize the fractures. One medical insider revealed that the impact from Joshua's final right hand was so powerful it completely shattered both sides of Jake's mandible simultaneously. Injuries of this severity are rarely seen outside of major car accidents. This puts into perspective just how devastating Anthony Joshua's punching power is, and why so many boxing experts warn Jake Paul that fighting a legitimate heavyweight champion was essentially suicidal.
Anthony Joshua this past Friday night. And so I want to break this down from a medical perspective. I'm a neurosurgeon with over 25 years of experience. And so, what happens is when you get hit in the head with that kind of force, like in boxing, our brain actually moves inside our skull and it can bump into the skull, which is a firm structure, and cause bruising of the brain.
But the broken jaw wasn't even the worst part of Jake's injuries. What doctors discovered during surgery made the situation even more gruesome. Medical reports indicate that Jake Paul lost a total of 7 teeth during the fight, with several more becoming loose and requiring immediate extraction to prevent infection. Paul himself confirmed the dental damage in an Instagram post, writing, "2 titanium plates on each side, some teeth removed, have to have only liquids for 7 days." This brutal reality of heavyweight boxing has shocked Jake's fan base, many of whom had genuinely believed their hero could compete at the highest levels of the sport.
Trauma to the brain. And over years and years of this happening, people can get what's called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE syndrome. And it's almost like a disease because with repeated trauma to the brain, and that can lead to memory problems, mood swings, even trouble with movements, and eventually people can develop dementia.
The boxing community has been divided between those expressing sympathy for Jake's injuries and those saying he got exactly what he deserved for constantly calling out real fighters. Now, here's where the story gets truly wild. Gervonta Davis has been watching the entire situation unfold with what sources describe as pure entertainment and satisfaction. Tank was originally scheduled to fight Jake Paul in November before legal issues canceled their bout, and many believe Davis is secretly relieved he didn't have to face the YouTube star under the specific conditions Paul's team had demanded.
あなたは永遠に私を大事にしてくれますか?
Jake Paul gets his jaw broken. Not only that, but he gets his lower jaw broken from the right and the left side. So both sides. And not only this, following that, he went through an emergency surgery procedure to get that sorted out, and titanium plates were inserted to help stabilize the case. This will take long.
According to insiders close to Davis, Tank has been sending messages in private group chats, completely roasting Jake Paul for his injuries and knockout loss. One person from Tank's inner circle revealed, Gervonta saw those hospital pictures and literally couldn't stop laughing for 20 minutes straight. He kept saying, I told y'all this clown wasn't ready for real boxing. These private comments have begun leaking onto social media through various boxing channels and fan accounts, sparking massive controversy over whether Davis is being disrespectful or simply speaking the truth.
On the back of his neck, pushed down on the back of his head, got him to the ground. There was a few times where Jake looked like he was going for a takedown. Again, that was Jake trying to engage in the clinch, and AJ smartly moved back. In one instance, I think it was the 5th round, Jake engaged for a clinch, AJ moved back and started.
Many fans believe Tank has every right to mock Jake Paul, especially after the YouTuber spent months publicly insulting Davis and calling him unprofessional following the cancellation of their scheduled November fight. The bad blood between the two has been building for months, and Jake's brutal loss to Anthony Joshua has given Gervonta Davis the perfect ammunition to respond to all the disrespect. The most shocking part of Tank's reaction came when sources reported that he began comparing Jake's injuries to what would have happened if they had actually faced each other in November.
To Anthony Joshua sleeping Jake and breaking his jaw in 2 different places, along with breaking his teeth. Gervonta joined the fun with the rest of the boxing community by throwing a meme on Jake Paul. That was his reaction.
People close to Davis claim he's been telling everyone in his camp that Jake got off easy fighting Anthony Joshua instead of facing him. One of Tank's training partners shared, Gant keeps saying that AJ at least finished it quick and clean. Tank reportedly said that if they had fought, he would have made Jake suffer for all 12 rounds before knocking him out, just to teach him a lesson. These comments have sparked massive debate online, with many boxing analysts pointing out that Tank Davis, at 135 pounds, could never have inflicted the kind of physical damage that Anthony Joshua did at 243 pounds. However, Tank supporters argue that his precision and speed would have caused Jake even more problems than Joshua's power, making the fight far more embarrassing for Paul.
6 and suffered 2 fractures to his left jaw. Here's the moment that did it.
Chin served on a platter for that right hand right there. And look at Jake Paul's face.
There's no way I can share the actual injury here. It's a bit too gruesome as the camera was put inside Jake's mouth and his teeth were actually not in a straight line. They were separated from the others as the jaw deviated. The question is though, what kind of recovery process Jake...
The reality is that we'll never know what would have happened between Tank and Jake, but the canceled fight remains one of the biggest what-ifs in recent boxing history. Jake Paul had originally called out Gervonta Davis back in August 2025, and the two camps spent months trying to organize an exhibition fight for November in Miami. The September press conference was awkward and tense, with Davis showing little enthusiasm for the matchup while Paul made controversial comments about Tank's reading abilities and legal troubles. During the conference, Davis called Paul a clown, while Jake kept bringing up Tank's history of legal issues, creating a highly hostile atmosphere. Then, in late October, just weeks before the scheduled fight, Davis's ex-girlfriend filed a civil lawsuit accusing him of battery, false imprisonment, and kidnapping. Most Valuable Promotions immediately canceled the fight, prompting Jake Paul to go on a massive social media rant, attacking Tank's character and reputation. On X, Paul wrote, "Gervonta Davis is an actual walking human piece of garbage. Working with him is an absolute nightmare. The unprofessionalism, the bizarre requests, the showing up hours late to shoots. If you support this man, you support the most vile sin a man can commit."
So all of those things kind of deteriorated or emptied Jake's gas tank a lot earlier than I think he expected it to. But overall, I thought He deployed his game plan well for the first 5 rounds and actually had some success. He even moved AJ back a few times, 1 by just jabbing in the air, and 2, when he caught him, he moved.
That's wrong with boxing on professionalism, and he's getting what he's reaping what he sows, but I hate working with people like that.
These harsh words from Jake created lasting bad blood between the two fighters, and Tank has been waiting for the perfect moment to get his revenge ever since. Initially, Gervonta Davis stayed silent about the cancellation, but earlier in December, he finally broke his silence and fired back at Jake Paul's claims.
And suffered 2 fractures to his left jaw. Here's the moment that did it.
Chin served on a platter for that right hand right there. And look at Jake Paul's face.
There's no way I can share the actual injury here. It's a bit too gruesome as the camera was put inside Jake's mouth and his teeth were actually not in a straight line. They were separated from the others as the jaw deviated. The question is though, what kind of recovery process Jake would be.
According to multiple reports, Davis claimed that Jake Paul actually called off the fight because he was getting beaten badly in sparring, not due to Tank's legal issues. Tank posted and later deleted several messages on social media, including one that read, "MV couldn't uphold nothing. Al Haymon had to come in to take over everything. MVP is garbage. Y'all run nothing at Netflix." These deleted posts added fuel to the fire, making it clear that Tank Davis has zero respect for Jake Paul or his promotional company. Now, with Jake lying in a hospital bed with a shattered jaw and missing teeth, Tank finally has the ultimate proof that his warnings about Jake not being ready for real boxing were completely accurate.
Back in and swung, but he did move him back.
When this fight was first announced, you said to several media members that initially you weren't down for this fight. You thought it was just a little bit too much too soon, to paraphrase. Did he do better? Did Jake do better than you thought? Result aside, obviously you wanted him to win. You thought, I think by the end, that he was going to win, but did he actually do better than you thought?
The savage nature of Tank's reaction has created a huge divide in the boxing community, with different groups holding completely opposite views on whether his behavior is acceptable. Traditional boxing purists have actually sided with Tank Davis, arguing that Jake Paul brought this on himself by constantly disrespecting professional fighters and treating boxing like a joke. One longtime boxing journalist commented, "Jake Paul spent years calling out legitimate champions, mocking their skills, and pretending he belonged in their league. Now he's learned a very painful lesson. In that context, Tank has every right to say, 'I told you so.'" Perspective has resonated with millions of hardcore boxing fans who have been eager for someone to humble Jake Paul and expose the limits of his boxing skills. However, Jake's massive fan base has fired back at Tank Davis with equal intensity, accusing him of being a coward who hides behind legal issues instead of proving himself in the ring. One viral tweet supporting Jake read, "At least Jake Paul had the balls to fight Anthony Joshua. Tank Davis stays fighting guys half his size and then talks trash when real fighters get hurt."
A lot of punching down, practicing, hitting below my knees, and a lot of speed.
He warming up.
We're
now.
sparring.
That's what we need.
We're sparring.
Warm up.
Some
I know
8-year-olds. I got the 8-year-olds in there.
If I find out anything, I'm gonna beat your ass and I'm gonna beat Jaden Love ass. On my mama, I'm gonna beat both of y'all ass. On my mama. And he laughing.
This counterargument has gained significant traction, particularly among younger fans who view Jake as a fearless warrior for taking such a dangerous fight on short notice. The truth likely lies somewhere in the middle. Jake Paul showed genuine heart by facing Anthony Joshua, but he was clearly outmatched and probably shouldn't have taken the fight in the first place. The medical reality of his injuries has also raised serious questions about his boxing future and whether he'll ever be the same fighter again. Eddie Hearn, Anthony Joshua's promoter, told ESPN after the fight, "Hats off to Jake. A broken jaw is really difficult to come back from, but that last shot AJ hit him with would have knocked out a lot of heavyweights." His statement acknowledges Jake's toughness, while also confirming that the damage was severe and could have long-lasting effects on his career. Doctors familiar with jaw fractures have explained that Jake's specific injury, bilateral mandibular fractures requiring titanium plates, typically demands 6 to 8 months of recovery before he can return to contact sports. Some medical experts even believe Jake could be sidelined for the entire year of 2026, potentially derailing his momentum and promotional plans. The dental work alone will take months to complete, as Jake requires extensive reconstructive procedures to replace the 7 teeth he lost during the fight.
You know, he was a tough guy in there. Obviously, he moved a lot and made it difficult for AJ. And AJ's been out of the ring for a while. He's a bit rusty. It took him time to just get hold of him, but I was impressed with Jake. And listen, as I said to Nikisa, at the end of the day, he took shots that a lot of people would have got knocked out, clean out, but especially at the end, you know. So
Was it frustrating for you to watch?
No, I mean maybe like obviously when someone.
Oral surgeon explained, losing 7 teeth from impact trauma is extremely serious. He'll need implants, bone grafting, and probably multiple surgeries over the next year. These long-term consequences have made Tank Davis's mockery seem even more cruel to some observers, while others argue that Jake knew the risks when he signed the contract. The aftermath of this fight has completely changed the narrative around Jake Paul's boxing career, forcing everyone to reconsider what his future in the sport actually looks like. Anthony Joshua himself acknowledged Jake's bravery during the post-fight press conference, saying he did well while it lasted and that he takes his hat off to him, as many fighters haven't stepped into the ring with him, but Jake did.
Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw, still fucking fighting, man. Like, that's toughness. You know, most people just wouldn't have the balls ever to step in a boxing ring in their life. He stepped in a boxing ring with one of the baddest men on the planet. Who's 40 pounds heavier than him and 6 inches taller. That's insane.
He had to do what he had to do to survive, and he did that. So, you know, it's very difficult to go in like, you know, out the ring for 14 months and just be razor sharp with a guy running. And so, yeah, probably 2 or 3 rounds more than expected. But fair play to Jake Paul. He was a lot tougher than I thought, and he took a lot more shots than I thought he could.
What did AJ tell you inside the ring?
Joshua even suggested that Jake could still have a future in boxing, potentially against fighters closer to his size, like Gervonta Davis or Ryan Garcia in 2026. This opens the possibility for a rescheduled Jake Paul versus Tank Davis fight, which could be even bigger now after all the drama. The real question is whether Jake will actually want to face Tank after experiencing the brutal reality of taking hits from Anthony Joshua.
Jake Paul for taking the fight, took a heavy shot, but you know what a fantastic fight he put on, but big well done to AJ. We knew from day one AJ was going to do it, but the better fighter was going to win.
People said that Jake Paul was running. Do you feel like he ran or do you like...
I mean, against someone like AJ's a big guy, strong guy, and he can hurt you. So yeah, 100%, like, he's going to want to avoid his power, but you know what, he got caught in the corner and bang.
Jake's own words after the fight suggest he might be rethinking his entire approach to boxing. I'm going to come back and fight people my weight and go for the Cruiserweight World Championship at some point, Paul said. I'm going to take a little break. This statement indicates that Jake finally realizes he has no business competing at heavyweight. Meanwhile, social media has been flooded with memes and jokes about his broken jaw and missing teeth, with Tank's fans leading the charge in trolling the YouTuber.
100 miles an hour. There's 2 things I would have done. Tried to shut Jake down at 100 miles an hour, or I would have gone on the back foot. So Jake decided to move around the ring, and I decided to put the pressure on. What I could have done better is a lot of things. 100%. In the fight game, you've seen the amazing fight.
One viral meme shows Jake's pre-fight trash talk alongside hospital photos, captioned before and after meeting Real Boxing, and it has been shared millions of times. Another popular post features Tank Davis laughing with the text, "When you dodge a fight and then watch your replacement do exactly what you would have done." These jokes have frustrated Jake's fan base, who feel Tank is being disrespectful to someone recovering from serious physical trauma. The harsh reality, however, is that trash talk and mockery are part of combat sports, especially when fighters have been insulting each other for months. As Jake spends the coming months with his jaw wired shut and missing teeth being replaced, he'll have plenty of time to reflect on whether continuing his boxing career is worth the risks. Meanwhile, Tank Davis remains at the top of the lightweight division, his name trending as fans debate whether he could have inflicted even more damage than Anthony Joshua. The only way to know for sure is if Jake Paul fully recovers and decides to reschedule their canceled fight, possibly in 2026 or